failure and invention are inseparable twins. To invent you have to experiment, and if you know in advance that it's going to work, it's not an experiment. I think frugality drives innovation, just like other constraints do. One of the only ways to get out of a tight box is to invent your way out. There'll always be serendipity involved in discovery. You have to be willing to be misunderstood if you're going to innovate. If you double the number of experiments you do per year, you're going to double your inventiveness. Invention requires a long-term willingness to be misunderstood. You do something that you genuinely believe in, that you have conviction about, but for a long period of time, well-meaning people may criticize that effort. When you receive criticism from well-meaning people, it pays to ask, are they right? And if they are, you need to adapt what you are doing. If they're not right, if you really have conviction that they're not right, you need to have that long-term willingness to be misunderstood. It's a key part of invention. One common pitfall for large organizations, one that hurts speed and inventiveness, is one-size-fits-all decision-making. The end result of this is slowness, unthoughtful risk aversion, failure to experiment sufficiently, and consequently diminished invention. We'll have to figure out how to fight that tendency. To get something new done, you have to be stubborn and focused, to the point that others might find unreasonable. If you decide that you're going to do only the things you know are going to work, you're going to leave a lot of opportunity on the table. If you're watching your competitors, you're unlikely to invent a bunch of stuff on your own. Me Too companies have not done that well over time. Sometimes, often actually, in business, you do know where you're going, and when you do, you can be efficient. Put in place a plan and execute. In contrast, wandering in business is not efficient, but it's also not random. It's guided by hunch, gut, intuition, curiosity, and powered by a deep conviction that the prize for customers is big enough that it's worth being a little messy and tangential to find our way there. Wandering is an essential counterbalance to efficiency. You need to employ both. The outsized discoveries, the non-linear ones, are highly likely to require wandering. No customer was asking for Echo. This was definitely us wandering. Market research doesn't help. Development of the Fire Phone and Echo was started around the same time. While the Fire Phone was a failure, we were able to take our learnings, as well as the developers, and accelerate our efforts building Echo and Alexa. Staying in day one requires you to experiment patiently, accept failures, plant seeds, protect saplings, and double down when you see customer delight. Most decisions should probably be made with somewhere around 70% of the information you wish you had. If you wait for 90%, in most cases, you're probably being slow. To invent you have to experiment, and if you know in advance that it's going to work, it's not an experiment. Most large organizations embrace the idea of invention, but are not willing to suffer the string of failed experiments necessary to get there. We take risks all the time, we talk about failure. We need big failures in order to move the needle. If we don't, we're not swinging enough. You really should be swinging hard, and you will fail, but that's okay. We all know that if you swing for the fences, you're going to strike out a lot, but you're also going to hit some home runs. The difference between baseball and business, however, is that baseball has a truncated outcome distribution. When you swing, no matter how well you connect with the ball, the most runs you can get is 4. In business, every once in a while, when you step up to the plate, you can score 1,000 runs. If you're not stubborn, you'll give up on experiments too soon. If you're not flexible, you'll pound your head against the wall and you won't see a different solution to a problem you're trying to solve. If you never want to be criticized, for goodness sake don't do anything new. Companies are rarely criticized for the things that they failed to try. But they are, many times, criticized for things they tried and failed at.